Welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is where you need to be every Tuesday to find out all the latest tips and tricks to help you target bream on lures. You'll get to hear from some of Australia's elite bream competition anglers and see how they were able to achieve their results in competitions around the country. Now, here is your host, the 2019 Hobie Kayak Fishing World Champion, Andrew Deeth.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. In this episode, I have got a special guest with me, and we're going to be reviewing all things Vic Bream Classics for 2026. So on the line with me, I have the man behind the series, Mr. Bill Hartshorne. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks, Deethy. It's awesome to be here, mate.
Mate, with 20 years of history behind you, when the 20th season, mate, it's an absolutely cracking Bream series. Been going for a very long time now.
Yeah, it has, mate. It makes me feel very old when some of the kids now that are stepping up and showing their dads how it's done, I saw them when they were just on the boob, mate, at the weigh-in.
So funny. So funny.
It's been so, like as I said, yeah, we're going into our 21st year.
Yeah.
And coming into the grand final last year, I thought, I'll have a bit of a look at just some numbers and so obviously spreadsheets, so we can pretty easily calculate stuff. So over 20 years, we've had 5,559 teams.
Wow.
So you can double that. There's your 11,148 anglers through the tournaments, 113 tournaments. And in that, we've weighed in some 33,000 bream. So it's, I'm pretty good at weighing in bream now.
That's crazy, man. That's more bream than Brett Geddes. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Just a couple, only by maybe one or two. But yeah, it is an amazing stat. And it goes so fast. But look, it's been a great ride. And started back in 2005. I just did a pilot comp, and it was all spurred on by the AFC. So the very first series of ASC come out, and like I was an avid sort of lure fisherman back then, and I loved it, and I just loved the idea of it. And I was like, how can I do something like I had a marketing background? And I thought it'd be great to have comps down here. And at the time, my friend Marcel Krieger, he was working with ABT.
Okay.
And he said, look, you can actually do these things called classics where we actually oversee your insurance and all that sort of stuff. You just need to talk to Morgo. And I pitched it to him. He said, yeah, if you want to do it. And that was it, mate. We did the pilot at the Hopkins River because it was a small, little, intimate venue. And we got 30 teams. And we were lucky enough to just one of the boys, Stu McKinnon, knew he actually recently fished with Starlo to do an article for one of the magazines.
Okay.
So he managed to get Starlo to come down to fish that very first one. And yeah, mate, once we fished the first one and it was the teams events, guys just loved it. They loved being able to fish with a mate, and besides the fact you're sharing costs and all that sort of stuff, you get to fish with a mate and you get to celebrate victories together, and it was just different to the ABT. Yeah. There we go. We did the first one. Everyone was like, this is awesome. And all right. So quickly ran around from November because it was actually November 5th, I think it was, the event. And then I had to run around and try and get a series together. And so in 2006, we started running 4 events. And then, it's springboarded from there. But yeah, here we are. 20 years later.
20 years later, all a bit older and
maybe wiser, I don't know.
Maybe wiser. Yeah, I wasn't trying to work out what to say that wasn't offensive. So, yeah, wiser is a good one.
I'm still running them, so I don't know if that is wiser. I don't know. Me and Morgo, we have these discussions a lot.
Yeah, that's a thing. But how much do you get to fish? Like, I've noticed a few socials with a few different things going on. Do you fish much?
I love fishing. I'm probably fishing more. So a little backstory for me. Most people know that, look, I used to work in business development, and then I was working with a company called Angling Adventures as a sales manager. And so I used to actually get to fish all over the world, which was fantastic fun. Locally, I didn't really fish. So if I wasn't fishing, taking clients somewhere, I didn't really fish at all. And then about 3 years ago now, COVID hit. Killed Angling Adventures because we couldn't travel, so that business just was done. Ouch. And I ended up working full-time just back in sort of a standard role. Well, I was actually in a prison doing guard work, officer work. But so I never fished. I was just fishing. I was just running fishing comps, working. And then unluckily I had a stroke 3 years ago and changed my life. So I couldn't really work much anymore. I tried for a year and I couldn't really work more than 3 or 4 hours, and we were trying to do 12-hour shifts. So it just didn't work. So ended up, pulling the pin and focusing on the tournaments. And so I do get time now to flick a line, catch a brim here and there. But I love fishing, and that's the thing that the tournaments have been amazing for me. It's just the people you meet, as you would know, doing Hobies and things.
100%, yeah.
The stuff you learn. And that's what I say to people when people say to me, I'm not good enough an angler to fish Vic Brims. And I'm like, that's even more reason to fish them. If you suck, come and fish one, because the knowledge of these blokes, and look, it's not really sheep stations at Vic Brim. The boys are pretty good. And one thing I love about the guys, especially the top-notch guys, that let's say you're top 20 and they fish and they've been fishing for many years, when they do see new blood come in, they want those guys coming back.
Yeah.
They want to go. So if they see a new team, and I get guys come up to me all the time, if they see a new team in their first tournament donut on the Saturday, they'll go, oh, what happened? What did they do? Where are they? And they'll go and grab them and say, hey, what were you fishing? Where'd you fish? Hey, throw this or throw that. And it could be something as simple as, nah, mate, you're using 10-pound leader. Don't do that. Use 4-pound, and that changes their whole day on Sunday.
That's right.
And guys normally will come up to me after their first event, especially the guys that fish with young kids, and go, this was the best thing ever. We're doing everyone now. And that's the other thing I love about our anglers. They make a huge fuss over the young guys. If the young kids are fishing, they really do wrap them up. And, so that's what I love about doing the tournaments. And as you would know, it can be challenging running fishing events, but when you see that sort of stuff, when you see the young kids absolutely pumped, or a young kid in his first event wins a random prize, or a guy that you can tell he's a battler, he never really finishes in the top 30, but he wins the Murakami rod, and you just, wow, he's like absolutely stoked, because we do those random draw prizes on the Friday night. You just go, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, and what I have noticed with your prizes is those random draws, sometimes they are some of the biggest prizes, the random draws, and I'm not sure whether you're doing the Miller rods again, but that was certainly a good thing in last year's rounds.
Oh, yeah, like the Miller rods. So we had the Miller Rogue, and it was the biggest Rogue, and Ian and the team are amazing supporters. They're just having a little rest this year to try and not, they don't want that Miller Rogue to just get a bit stagnant. And they're like, we want to come up with something new. We might have a rest this year. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Sponsors. And that's the other thing that people need to realise, like a lot of the Australian companies, they're not Bassmaster Classic size, massive organisations. And when they do sponsor things, they don't have endless bottomless pits of money.
Yes.
And even if they're giving product, they're still paying for that product. Yeah. So we really do appreciate any sponsors that do anything. But yeah, look, it's so cool. Like just the giveaways. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to say, look, the guys up the top, they always want the cash, and because they're sponsored. And it would be great. I'd love to be able to give away 10 grand at every tournament. But as the guys they're starting to understand now that we're coming into 21 years, and we've seen a lot of tournament series come and go.
Yes.
Morgo and I. To be sustainable, you have to you got to run it like a business.
Yes.
You can't run, how can I put it? You can't run tournament series for a long time on passion.
Yes.
Because passion fades.
Yeah.
And you'll see these tournaments, they're run by committees or they're run by fishing clubs, and they last 2 or 3 years when everyone's all juiced up about it.
Mm-hmm.
People get tired.
Yeah.
People are like, I'm working full time and then I'm volunteering my time on the weekend to run a fishing tournament. And you know what anglers are like, Deethy. They like to push the envelope sometimes, and they sometimes complain about things. And it's like, all right, I'm happy to deal with that, mate, because I'm running a business. So it's no worries. But you can understand where you get all these volunteers and they're like, what am I getting out of it?
Yeah, that's right. Over a period of time, it's difficult.
Yeah, it is. So that's why we'd love to give more cash away, and we're trying hard. Like, we're getting some really cool sponsors. We've got an out-of-industry sponsor called Oz Loans, which has the potential to be as big as anglers want it to be. And Oz Loans basically have said, sky's the limit for us. So Oz Loans do every single loan that you'd want, from business, personal, home loan, and they have every lender. And the beautiful thing about them is they're like, we'll give you a link. So if you send any people through to us, what they're doing is not only will they look after them and give them awesome service, but we're giving away a $300 tackle voucher to any of their tackle stores. So whatever store you like. So you don't have to support someone else if you really got a local tackle store that you're absolutely in love with supporting. Mate, you just tell us, you sign on the dotted line, and once the loan is approved, I just ring you up and say, what tackle store? And I ring them up and they just put $300 through the register.
Yeah, nice.
And it's awesome. So, all these people out there, boat loans, car loans, everything, it doesn't even have to be you. If you got a sister or an uncle or a brother and you refer us that business, it's the same thing. So that's a great opportunity, because Oz Loans have said, if you want, because I always have these visions of grand things. And I said to Oz Loans, what I want to see is a 3-day grand final where we have Friday and Saturday as our normal grand final. We announce the winner of the grand final on the Saturday. We might have a function Saturday night. But on Sunday, we have the Oz Loans Mega Bucks, and it might be first prize 10 grand.
Nice.
And it might be the top 20 that shoot out for that. And they're keen on that. They said, look, if we can see the traction of people supporting us and we're getting all those anglers coming through, we're keen on that. So it's at this stage, we're still in that Jerry Maguire help me to help you stage.
Sure.
But look, we're getting there. We got a few last year, which was cool. Look, the other cool sponsor we got on board, which is out of industry, is LJ's Bulk Foods Direct. So Lee Johnson does like bulk food, so your steaks and ribs and all that sort of stuff.
Nice.
And last year we had the LJ's casting challenge. So at the grand final, we gave away $1,500.
Solid.
For a casting, and it was great. It was so good. I don't know if you saw the video, but people can go back and watch it. So Peter Bacay Jr. and Peter Bacay Sr. are Team Nomad, BKK. Now, young Pete is the gun. He is the guru. And Peter Bacay Sr. is the dad that comes along for encouragement.
Yeah.
He's all right, but he's good on the net, I reckon. But, mate, no, seriously, we had quite a small plate. All the guns were missing it. All the blokes that are doing some serious casting on their Instagram pages, they were dropping like flies. And Pete Bacay Sr. just waltzed up the first round and just flicked it pretty much with his eyes closed and hit the plate.
Wow.
And everyone's like, what? And that was a fluke. Yeah, that was cool. And then went through and it got down to the last two. And again, Mr. Senior's just waltzed up and I went, do it again, mate. And he just went boom and he hit the plate.
Oh, so good.
So they've won $1,500 plus they've won 2 outfits. So the control outfits, we had the NS Black Hole 1s micros, which are fantastic rods. And then we had the Shimano reels to go with them, the brand new Shimanos. And they got them as well. And then when we were doing the presentations, he turned around and he said, is that the plate we were casting at? He couldn't even see it.
He couldn't see it. How good's that?
Yeah, that's it. So that was because of LJ. So that's because of Lee Johnson. And it's so good. Anyone can go onto his website and order bulk foods and steaks and ribs. He basically stocks all of the restaurants and he's got now contracts and permission to actually sell that to people direct.
Okay.
So, it's really cool. He's back again this year. So that's just a couple of out-of-industry ones. But you can hear, as I said, it is a lot of fun. And we're continuing the fun this year with all that random draw prizes and casting challenges, things.
Ah, so good. So good. I do like that. The random draw, because it means that anyone can win that, whether you're a good fisherman, a gun, or really hopeless. You can still got a chance to win in a random draw. That is really good.
Yeah, it is. And it's good rods. It's Shimano reels. It's tonic sunnies. It's packs of lures. And it's not like crap stuff. It's not like a stubby holder. Yeah, as you said, it is some serious stuff. And we'll be giving away Samurai rods this year, Murasami rods.
Wow.
1s micros. And again, because it's a teams event, you give away a couple of Samurais, there's $1,500.
That's right. So, and I've heard they're really good too.
Yeah, look, I haven't got my hands on them, but I'm excited that I think what we're going to do this year, and I hope Dom doesn't kill me for saying this because I don't know if he's approved it yet, but he's sending me the whole suite, a whole swag of the new Samurais in feats, and we're going to basically be able to have loaners.
Nice.
So if you're coming up to the briefing and you want to try a Samurai for the weekend, you can fill in your name and details, take that rod out for the weekend.
Yeah, try before you buy.
Try before you buy, and if you love it, I think we're even going to be looking at doing some vouchers for discounts and all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, wow. Very good.
Yeah, so hopefully people don't break them.
Well, yeah, look, most of the people are not going to break them. But,
Nah, it's pretty good. It's pretty hard to break rods these days unless you're a psycho. But
yeah, something happens. But yeah.
Yeah, or something random happens. But no, so that's a really cool thing. There's not too many people that, and it's also, as I said to Dom, it's really cool for the anglers that are at that sort of $150 price point and they want to go, what is the difference between a $150? Because I love me atomic arrows, I love me whatever, but hey, give me a look at this thing. And it might just put that seed in their head to say, you know what, I'm going to only have one good rod, but I'll save up for one of those. So, because you can't really feel what it's like to fight a fish in a tackle shop.
That's right. That's right. I'll feel the bite or all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, all that. So that'll be cool. So that's another little thing we will hopefully be rolling out.
Very good. Very good. All right, let's roll around to the comp season for this year. So you got 5 rounds and a grand final. Tell us about our starting point. Where are we off to for round 1?
So, look, round 1 is always our big starter, and we always start at the mecca of bream fishing, and that is Gippsland Lakes. We run our event out of Meetung at the Meetung Hotel, which is just an awesome venue on the water there, 28th, 29th of March. I think we're pushing probably about 55 teams at the moment, so hopefully we get that 60, and it's the Club Marine East Gippsland round. Club Marine's been our sponsor since the beginning. They're our longest serving sponsor. They're unreal. And it should be good. Like, it should fish well. It was challenging on the weekend at the Melbourne Boat Show tournament on the day 2. Apparently it was just really bad, but the weather wasn't that great. But yeah, look, it's a great round because there's just so many options at Gippsland Lakes, and we allow people to trailer to 7 different launch locations. So if you've got a little tinny and you're like, oh, I'm scared of Lake King, you can actually launch, like we do check-ins at Shaving Point at Meetung in the morning, and then you can actually trailer to Tambo, Nico, Paynesville, wherever you want to go.
Okay, so just to clarify that, because I've not done that. So they've got to drive to the check-in point. You get your boat checked.
So they got a trailer to the check-in point, which is Shaving Point, because that's where we have the majority of the field would normally leave from there on the water as per normal. Yep. And then from there we're there at 5 a.m. We check their boat on trailer, obviously, that they've got life jackets, their wells are empty, all that sort of stuff. And then what they do is they'll drive to anywhere from Holland's Landing, Mitchell, Paynesville, Nicholson, Tambo, Lakes Entrance. And what happens, then they'll launch there and they'll just sit in the water. Yeah. And once 7 o'clock starts, whoever's the lowest starting team in the group at that ramp will call the teams off.
Okay.
And then what happens, we have a staggered check-in on the way back. So then, say you're at Holland's Landing, you put your boat on your trailer. Obviously, you can't fish after 2. Most of the guys will put their boat on the trailer about 1:45, 1:45, and they've got until 2:45 to drive back to Meetung.
Okay.
And we have a key tag check-in. As you're driving into Meetung, there's a yacht club, and they can pull off into the side there and they line up, check in, and then they come and weigh in front of the crowd.
Nice.
So it just opens Gippy Lakes up. We just had issues again over those 20 years. You experience different things, and we just had issues. It's a fantastic start in the morning at Shaving Point when you got 50 boats tearing off, and it's a mill pond. But as Gippy Lakes come 1 o'clock, it blows up.
Yep.
Every single time. And we just had too many teams that would go to Paynesville in their 3.8 metre tinny or 4 metre tinny, get their 6 kilos, and it blows up, and they're like, we've got to weigh these fish.
Yeah.
And so they risk it to try and get across that lake. And I'm like, it just didn't sit well with me that someone capsizes a boat because they're trying to get back and weigh in the bag of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And, mate, we did see some guys actually come to the weigh-in absolutely saturated and pale as ghosts.
Yeah, right.
Tournaments. I was like, all right, what else can we do?
Yeah.
And the thing is, the thing about Vic Bream, it is grassroots tournaments. It's not a tournament series where I want the guys that have the $200,000 bass boats and everything to have a massive advantage.
Sure.
I didn't want that because that just deters your average guys. And so by allowing people to trailer, all of a sudden it opened Holland's Landing up.
Yep.
And it meant bigger bags were coming in every single tournament, because normally if the wind gets up and you're all starting at Shaving Point, it pretty much kills all the boys hitting Hollands.
Yeah.
because I can't get there. So all of a sudden the whole tournament changes then. So yeah, no, so it's a pretty cool one, and as I said, they get to weigh in a big crowd, and we live stream all the events. So yeah.
And you also run the big fish tank, I think, normally.
Yeah, we got a new one. Yeah, so last year we got a new tank. It's nearly 1,000 litres, this one. And it's just great to be able to showcase. And obviously we've got a partnership with fisheries so that we can showcase those fish. And also, like, a lot of the public don't realise that we do have permits with fisheries so that anglers can actually keep fish in their live wells and they can actually keep fish over that slot limit in their live well so that we can weigh them in. And the beauty of the tank is it's a great educational tool. People can come down, have a look what a 45 centimetre bream looks like. And then when we say, hey, that fish could be 30 years old, they're floored. They're like, what? And I'm like, exactly. Let's not try and take, even though the slot limit's 38, 10 38s, that's a lot of years of growth that you put in your boot when it's going well.
100%.
So it's great. It's a good little educational tool, and especially meat hunt, because you get a lot of people come down to the weigh-in that just they see the flags and the banners and what's this all about? And yeah, it's cool. It's cool to blow people's minds about just how big some of these bream get, because you know what they're like when they get big and old. They look gnarly in that tank.
They do. They do.
And yeah, look, it's a lot of work to do those things and take a tank and feel, but it's so worth it just when you see, one, the kids love it. And I think the anglers get a kick out of it too, because they stand there talking in front of that tank for ages.
Yeah, 100%. All right. One more thing with meat tongue before we move off. If you had to guess, what's the winning bag going to be?
Wow. Look, we have some amazing guys. And look, if Hollands fires, then you've always got a chance of 13 kilos winning. Obviously, young Riley, what was his, about 11 and a half? But it did fish tough. But every year for the Vic Bream, we're consistently getting blokes dropping 6.5s. And we've had a few near on 7s. So yeah, I think it's going to be around 13 kilos will probably be where it's at, because someone will get big ones. And everyone says to me, 1 year, everything's going to go right for someone and they're going to drop like a 7.5 kilo bag, because all the boys talk about the ones that they get busted off.
That's right.
So, yeah, it is an insane fishery. It really is.
Yeah, yeah. Fantastic. All right. Round 2, mate. Looks like you got about a month's break. So
yeah, pretty much. We run about 6 weeks, or 5 to 6 weeks in between each round, yeah. And we head to Marlo. So Marlo round 2, Mega Bass, East Gippsland Bream Classic. The team at Viva are our major sponsor of that one. Completely different fishery. Very tough. Can be a challenge. As with the Hobies do it. And actually, did you fish the Hobie?
I fished the Hobie. I got one fish.
Yeah, that's right. Because I was talking to Beth, and I said, we were talking about having to pedal the Hobies, and I said, what's the go with the setting the tides? And she said, what do you mean? I go, Chris has set tides so that you're paddling against the tide at the start of the tournament, and then you're paddling against it on the way home. I said, couldn't they make it the other way around?
It was a tough paddle. It was.
Yeah, like that current at that fork there is hard.
Yeah, that's right.
But look, it's one of those tournaments where if Coringle fires, you get a lot of really big bags.
Yeah.
If Coringle's either not accessible or it doesn't fire, then it's a real like challenge to get some good bites. The rock walls come into play. Last year, the junction, that's where the main fish got caught in the current. So there was like boats teamed lined up there. But it's one of those events where it really can be a challenge for the more novice teams. Like they come away from meat tongue and they might have weighed in 8 kilos and they're stoked because they weighed in 10, and it was just the best thing ever. And then they go to Marlo.
You come back to earth.
I hate this place.
I love Marlo. I love the challenge, even though I only got one. That's irrelevant. It could have easily been 3.5 kilos a day for the 3 fish each day.
Yeah. Look, it's interesting too. Like last year, young Harry and it was the team, I can't remember now, but young guy, they used the little tinny that they've got and they went up the Snowy and they dragged it across the sandbars.
Yeah.
And then they went right up.
Right.
And they weighed in a Kraken bag.
Wow.
And they had no one there. Because they've had to get out and drag this tinny across, and no bass boat's doing that.
That sounds pretty hard to me.
Yeah, and they smacked them. Like, they smacked some really big fish. And, so that's Harry Young it is. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Here we go. I'm just having a look while so they...
Harry and Brad, maybe?
Yeah, Marlo bait and tackle, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
day one, they weighed in a 5.6 kilo bag, which is pretty good for Marlo.
Yeah.
And they were 1.75 in that.
Yeah, no.
So, yeah, I love those sort of stories where people do different things. And then the boys from Prestige Worldwide, which you would have
No,
spoken
it's so
to,
good.
'cause
Yeah.
they come third. Like, they sat in the slips there and they just waited it out. And they, as old Morgo says, don't leave fish to find fish.
Yeah.
And so that's a completely different story of what they did. So it has the potential it can throw some good bags. And all the anglers tell me, like, they reckon a 2 kilo bream, if anywhere, it'll come out of there.
Yeah, wow.
So
I'd
I'm
love
like,
to see that.
okay. Yeah, it's got to come. It's got to come sooner or later. Like, we've had 1 2 kilo bream weighed in. It's the biggest one in our history. And I think it was in 2010. And that was weighed in Warrnambool, in the Hopkins River of all places.
Wow.
We haven't had really one close. I don't think we've even had 1.9s. They've been like 1.8s, but we haven't had that big 2 keg one. And we all know they're there.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting them out.
Getting them out when you hook them.
Yeah, so that'll be a really good event, round 2. And look, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful part of the world. And the Marlo Hotel is just awesome.
Yeah.
You've got this great amphitheatre that we create with the drive-by way in there so people can stand up on the deck and watch all the boats come through.
Yeah.
And as I said, all the events we have, the Eco Gear Big Bream for the heaviest bream. We've got still our Sunline Best Bag for the biggest bag for the weekend. And we've got that Zip Baits Monster Movers for the biggest, the team that moves the furthest on the Sunday.
Yeah.
So even if you're not in the top 10, there are options to win, whether it's a big bream or a big bag, or definitely that Monster Mover is a great one for teams that have had a crap day on Saturday.
Yep.
And they can go back and regroup, and it's not about having to get the biggest bag. It's just get a good enough bag to move yourself, up that leaderboard, and then you walk away with a grand's worth of Zip Bait Atomic sort of gear. So,
Yeah, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, like I said, Marlo is definitely one of my favourite places, even though it is a bit tough.
Yes. Yeah.
Very good. All right. Then moving into round 3, you're heading off to Mallacoota in June.
Yeah, that's right. So Mallacoota, we've got the Samurai rods, Samurai East Gippsland round, and it's obviously with the release of the Samurai and Feet. And we have in the past that usually it's an atomic round from Froglies, but we're like, we've got to give Samurai some love this year.
Yeah.
So, look, it's going to be a good round. It's going to be a challenge. And this is the thing, like, people say, why wouldn't you have Cooter in summer? And you can't have every round in summer.
Yeah.
And there's only so many venues across Victoria that are conducive to a 60 or 70 boat field. So when you change the month that they're run, it's almost like a whole new venue.
Yeah.
Because Mallacoota in June is not going to fish like Mallacoota in March.
Yeah.
So it should be a schooled up bite, we would think. It might be a bit of a vibe fest.
Yep.
But Mallacoota over the last few years, and this is something we've talked with fisheries about, it is on a decline.
Size-wise or numbers?
Yeah, everyone catches fish. There's millions of fish in there, but the size of the fish is on a decline. And to the point where Nelson now is producing bigger bags than Mallacoota.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't know what it is, but the beauty of being doing this for 20 years and having all these spreadsheets with all this data, I've actually been working with fisheries on tracking data. We've got graphs for Gippsland Lakes. And the Gippsland Lakes graphs that we did from Vic Bream show a real upward trend once the nets come out.
Yeah.
And that's in every sort of category. So we looked at the top 10, what they all got, and then the top 20, top 30, to show that it didn't matter. You didn't have to be a gun angler, but even your more modest anglers, once those nets come out, there's still an upward trend of their ability to then catch fish.
Yeah.
But with Mallacoota, it's the opposite, I think. Because I remember, I think it was about 2009 or something, you had to have 4.5 kilos to be in the top 20.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen now.
What are the predators there? There's no slot limit in Mallacoota at the moment?
No, and that's something we're trying to put together, potentially a case study around we're seeing this decline, maybe we do need to slot limit it because it's worked in Gippsland lakes. Are we potentially going to see more big fish if we do have a slot limit? Because, look, it is a massive grey nomad friendly zone over Christmas and Easter, Mallacoota.
Yeah.
And they love a feed, and you're allowed to have a feed, and that's all fine. If they do get onto a bit of a honey hole with their prawns, peeled prawns, and catch their 45s and 43s, and they're all gone. They're done.
Yeah.
They're
And that's the big breeding stock too, in terms of a fish breed that is capable of getting to 45 is now gone.
Yeah, and that's 25 years of avoiding getting caught and avoiding getting eaten, just gone. So we're looking at that sort of stuff because I just think, there's something going on at Mallacoota. And some people have suggested that there's not as much weed. The weed beds are gone. There used to be prolific weed beds, they reckon, and they're not there now. But I just don't know. But I just know from doing weigh-ins since 2006 there, it was almost the mecca. Like, it was head to head with Gippsland Lakes. Like, it was 10 kilos plus you needed at Coota.
Yeah.
You don't get that now. So, but Warrnambool, Mallacoota in June, it's going to be cold. It's probably going to suck. It's going to probably rain. It's
nice. You're selling it.
So come along. It's going to be great. But look, one of the things we're doing, this is the other thing, it's actually probably a good segue for this. When you are wet and cold and you come in on a Saturday, Lee and his mate Mick, so Lee from LJ's Bog Foods, who's our sponsor, they got a new trailer that they're going to bring around all the events, and they're going to be doing taste testing. So in the afternoons at all of the main caravan park that we all stay at, they'll be putting on burgers and ribs and steak and all sorts of stuff for the boys to come over and have a try.
Yeah.
So it should be a really nice social afternoon on that Saturday to have a beer, rig some rods, try some of the food around the barbie.
Yeah. Oh, how good's that? I love it. I love a get together. It's one of the things that I like about some of the comps is the guys getting together after a beer, especially after day one, standing around having a feed, the ones that are having beers, and how good's that?
Yeah, look, and that's the thing, you know what it's like you walk back through the caravan park and blokes are all sitting out the front of their little cabins, rigging rods and that, and we're trying to say, all right, do that, but come over here and do it around here. Do it around the barbie. Grab a rib, have a beer, have a chat. And then obviously that's in the afternoon, and then we can still all go out to your Marlo pub and your Meetung Hotel and that at dinner. But Lee's amazing. Just wants to try and bring everyone together. And I think it'll be fun.
Sounds like a plan. Like a plan. All right. So moving on out of June, the 22nd, 23rd of August, where are you off to, mate?
So we're down at the other end. We're doing our southwest swing then. It's Warrnambool, so the Hopkins River. The venue of our very first event, the smallest venue in the field, but it holds its own. Like it can produce some really good fishing, and it's very intimate. The boats are very close to each other, but yeah, it's good. And that's the Shimano Glenelg Hopkins CMA Bream Classic. Now, the Glenelg Hopkins CMA are a fantastic supporter of ours. And if people don't know, they're basically the catchment management authority. The work they do in the Glenelg River, Hopkins, Murray Rivers is amazing. They've put so many, they call them fish hotels, but they're basically massive snag bundles in around the Hopkins.
Right.
They do a lot of research on the fish there. They just want to make sure that it's perfect. And it's a great little relationship because if they need data, if they need access to anglers that know what they're talking about, we're a great resource for them to say, yeah, this is what we're finding or this is what we're seeing. So it's a really good thing. And they support it. So look, it's a nice little venue there. We weigh in at the ski club and it's a lot. I find it's a good event if you want to do your first event and you don't want to be in a big venue and you're a bit scared to go out in the open water and you want something that's a little bit safe. It's a good one because you can find fish. There's only 11 k's of fishable water in the Hopkins River for us because you can't get above the falls, which is like the Turum Stones there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool. We're still throwing up 5.5 kilo bags there.
Yeah, 100%. And I know from reporting on it, some of the really good stories have come out of the Hopkins. So.
Yeah. Look, the boys like your mackerels and your mellovs and all those sort of stuff. Some of the stories of throwing nail bombs into absolute just kamikaze structure.
Yep.
And pulling fish out is just like next level. Like I just don't know how they do it. But yeah, it's cool. And this year is a completely different story of the winners. They were down the ski run. Yeah, it is a cool spot. And again, like with the Warrnambool Holiday Park, and Steve and Lisa down there, they absolutely dote on the anglers down there. They look after them so well. And yeah, it's a good one. So that'll be, round 4.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And before we move off, obviously Shimano are the co-sponsor, I guess, in that particular round.
Yeah, so they're our naming rights sponsor for that one. And look, they've been an amazing sponsor for us for a number of years. And we're always trying to look at doing new things, and they're always wanting to be progressive. And so we have the Shimano Junior Angler of the Year, which we've been doing for a number of years. But so every single round we have the Junior Angler Prize. So we start out round 1 with the highest placed junior, but then it basically, after each round, it goes to the highest placed junior that hasn't won it yet. So we share it around. And then by the grand final, based on like our Club Marine Team of the Year points, the Shimano Shimano Junior Angler of the Year, if they get to the grand final and they've won Junior Angler of the Year out of qualifiers, they get like a $1,500 Shimano prize pack. Couple of rods, couple of reels, like quality outfits from the boys at Shimano. And then last year as well, thanks to Pete Marshall at MPW, which is Mafra Panel Works, he put up $1,500 in cash to the Junior Angler of the Year. So they got their $1,500 in rods, and that was young Jarvis, and reels, and then they got another $1,500 cash. So thanks for coming.
Yeah.
But what we're doing this year with the MPW Junior Jackpot, we call it, we're not going to give it to the Junior Angler of the Year. What we're going to do is any of those young guys that qualify for the grand final, so if they've worked hard with Dad, fished the qualifiers and actually got into that grand final, they're all going to go into the pot to randomly win it.
Nice.
So all they got to do is get to that grand final, and they're in the running for $1,500. And when you consider there might only be 6 or 7 juniors, you got a fair chance.
And what's the youngest age you can bring a junior along?
Mate, as long as you're a guardian for them and you can look after them as soon as it comes out.
Okay. Fair enough.
Pretty much, mate. As long as they're on the boat and you're happy to look after them, there's no law. And the beautiful thing is too, if the kids are under 12, they can actually be in your team without you having to get rid of your best mate. So if you want to introduce your 10-year-old to fishing comps or 8-year-old, you can still have your normal team.
Yeah.
And they can come along as a third, and that's perfect. It's just then once they hit that year, they go 13.
Yep.
They then have to, like, Dad's either got to say to his mate, "Sorry, buddy, the young bloke wants to come on board," or he can be a sub or something like that. So we love doing that because it gets the young kids involved, and it means that as a father, you don't have to be torn by saying, "I'd love to get him into a comp, but I don't want to have to burn my best mate who's been fishing comps with me for 10 years, sort of thing. It's a great one. And the other one, while I'm on it too, with the ladies, we love the ladies that fish, and a heap. We've got probably about between 8 and 10 across the series, ladies that fish with partners or friends. But we want to try and encourage the ladies to get a team, a couple of ladies to get a team. So what we do with the ladies, if they want to fish in a team, but obviously they mightn't be confident with the boat, or they may not even have a boat. If they've got a friend that wants to lend themselves out for the weekend to actually skipper the boat for them, they can fish as a team, and they can have a male skipper on the boat, a non-fishing male skipper.
Okay.
If they're happy to come out and just help them out and tell them what to do. And it's just about getting their confidence up to the point where they're like, "Oh, we love this. We had an absolute ball. We're going to go off and get our boat license. We might go get a tinny, and we will come back as our own team without needing the skipper to help us along." So it's about trying to encourage those ladies to get involved.
Yeah, that is very cool. All right. So that wraps up round 4, mate. Moving into round 5, 10th and 11th of October. Where are you off to, mate?
This should be a cracker. So this is the TT Glenelg Shire Bream Classic. And again, the guys at TT with the Z-Man and that have been a fantastic supporter of that round. Glenelg River Nelson, probably one of the most unique fisheries that we've got, there's nothing else like it in Victoria as far as a river that runs like it does so far inland, deep cliffs, flats out the front. And it's pretty user-friendly when it comes to teams that aren't seasoned campaigners. There's a lot of fish to catch. It is hard to get the bigger bags, but it is easy-ish. I'll say easy-ish because nothing's easy, but it's easy-ish to get your 5, whether you're fishing rock walls or maybe down the front or that sort of thing. But as I said before, the bags are getting bigger and bigger at Nelson, which is cool. And look, October is going to be awesome. It's going to fish really well. It's starting to warm up. The fish should be on edges. Even if like you're just going down there to just have a fun tournament weekend, you're probably going to have a lot of fun with the perch bycatch. And obviously the dewies, if you accidentally hook a dewey, then that's going to be fun anyway. But it's up 9.2 kilos won it last year, which is getting up there. Yeah. So, yeah, and pushing those 5 kilo bags for your big bag. You know what it's like. You fished Hobies there, Deethy, I would have assumed. You haven't fished a Hobie event at Glenelg? No. Great venue. It's so... I know it's a long way. And,
it's a long way.
A lot of people, like we had young Josh from Zero Technique. He once drove from Mallacoota to fish Nelson.
Yep. It was a bit of a hike.
Yeah, I think he didn't realise how far it actually was. But because...
Now he knows.
From now on I'll stay at my mum's in Geelong for a week and recover before I drive the extra.
Yeah.
It's a fair run, but yeah, look, it's so cool. It's a great venue, heaps of bream, heaps of perch, dewies that love a lure, and it's just this big, long river. It's sandstone walls, cliffs, and we don't have anything like it. It's weird. It's like the southwest rounds are rivers, and then once you head past Melbourne, it starts to become inlets.
Yeah, okay.
Like obviously there's rivers around Gippsland lakes, but it's got that inlet that it goes out to, and same with Mallacoota, and Marlo doesn't really have an inlet, I guess. It's got Coringal, which is a bigger sort of area. But it's a good one. And that then wraps up the team of the year. So we have Club Marine Team of the Year. There's points for each round, and the top 50 from our Club Marine Team of the Year then get an invitation to fish our grand final in November, which is our NS Rods Sunline Bream Classics. So our naming rights sponsors for our whole series is NS Rods or NS Black Hole Rods and Sunline, which is brought to us by EJ Todd, awesome family in fishing. So that's really cool. The end of round 5 also wraps up our Shimano Junior Angler of the Year.
Yeah.
And also the other thing we've got this year is it rounds out our RooWorks Elite Challenge. So people might know much about RooWorks, but RooWorks is Greg Rook, who's basically one of the Vic Bream guys. He's been working behind the scenes to engineer basically a shallow water anchor, similar to your power pole, but something that's so well engineered, basically over-engineered, it's bulletproof. And so last year we had the RooWorks T-Spike Tinny Challenge. It was for tinnies under 4.8 metres.
Yep.
And actually Josh and Connor won that. So they got a T-Spike each. But this year he's also worked on the Elite RooWorks Elite one, which is for your big bass boats. And this one's like the hamburger with the lot. Shallow water anchor, this one. It's got everything. It's got other attachments, like it's got a drift wing that goes onto it. Yeah, it's got all sorts of stuff. So this year, the boats over 4.9 and over now get the love, and they get to fight it out for an Elite RooWorks shallow water anchor, which will be cool.
Very cool. I must admit, I've seen a couple of those floating around on kayaks, so they're starting to gain some traction.
Yeah, the K-Spike, so the kayak K-Spike, and look, you can look them up and have a look at some of their videos. There is a video where they're actually dragging one deployed around a car park to show you how strong they are. Yeah, they actually deploy it on the back of the car park, on the back of the kayak on a trailer and drag it around the car park.
Wow.
And it doesn't snap. Like, it's just, it's awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. Tell us then, okay, your rounds are all wrapped up. Tell us about your grand final.
Yeah, so as I said, top 50, we're going to head to Marlo. And as we talked about, Marlo, it can be a challenging spot. And it is one of those fisheries that, look, Coringal could absolutely go off at the end of November. So it's 21st and 22nd November, and it could be a really cool edge bite, and there could be some really monster bags. The cool thing about that is, as you would know, Marlo, you earn it. You earn your fish. So perfect spot for a grand final. It's not going to be a gimme. they're just definitely going to have to win it. But it'll be a great spectacle. And as I said, we've got all the stuff that we normally do at all the other rounds, like your big brim and best bag and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it should be really cool. One thing that I did want to talk about quickly is that our Mallacoota round, we're also going to give away for the first time, which is really sad because our great mate Doug Fair passed away last year due to skin cancer, which he fought like an absolute trooper for so many years. Like how that bloke rocked up to tournaments in some of the shape that he was in was amazing. But we're going to have a Doug Fair Memorial Trophy. So the winners, Doug was so desperate to win a Vic Bream Classics. Like he had supported Vic Bream from the start back in 2005.
Yeah.
He didn't quite get there. He never managed to win it. He got a couple of top podiums, but never won one. So his memorial trophy is going to be his winner. He's going to give it to the winner. That's going to be the memorial. They get to keep that for 12 months. And we have another memorial trophy, which is the Graham Taylor Memorial Trophy. He was a Warrnambool local and he passed away many years ago. And we hand that to the team at the Warrnambool round as well. And that goes to the team that gets the biggest bag on day two, because Graham Taylor was synonymous with donutting on day one or not doing very well on day one and then coming home with a massive with a huge bag on day two. We're like, mate, what happened to Saturdays? Oh, if I could just put 2 days together, I'd win one of these things. And yeah, so we've got a couple of memorial trophies, which is nice, but we wish they were here fishing rather than having to give away a memorial trophy. But it's one of those things that, so with Graham went away and fished a tournament, had chest pains, didn't do anything about it. Went, she'll be right. And when, those sort of things, you don't muck around with them. Went home after the tournament, went to bed and didn't wake up. And it's, dude.
Yeah.
Guys are just too, not so much stubborn, but we just don't care. We don't look after ourselves. Like, she'll be right. It's indigestion or walk it off or whatever. And it's the same with the skin cancer stuff. Like, Dougie was in the sun his whole life. He was actually the producer and the cameraman for Rex Hunt Fishing.
That's right.
So they were always in the sun, and he was a charter operator and all that. Never wore sun cream, never. And then obviously later in life, skin cancers, and he was absolutely riddled with them. We always use those stories in the memorial trophy to say, guys, put the sun cream on, wear a hat, wear long sleeves, because look what happened to Doug. And same with, if you don't feel right, you're not feeling well, don't just shrug it off. No one's going to think you're weak because you have to stop fishing to go to the emergency, or you have to stop fishing to go to the hospital or whatever. Just do it.
Yeah.
Right? So we try and use them as an opportunity to educate a little bit as well. And the guys love winning them because they're very well respected anglers, those boys.
Absolutely. And it's good to remember.
Yeah, 100%.
Very good. All right. That's going to wrap up your competition year. Now, I'm looking at your website. So before we wrap this up, mate, I think you should maybe run through some of the other sponsors that we haven't mentioned. Just give them a bit of a shout out.
Yeah, look, we've got so many fantastic sponsors, and like our major sponsors, like obviously Club Marine Shimano, Megabass and Sunline in and NS, they've got their own rounds, and Atomic and Samurai. Eco Gear, Big Brim, we've got Nomad Design. Nomad obviously released how many good products last year. Zip Baits, Rooworks, Baramba. So the Baramba Stinger Shrimp, if you haven't got one of them in your kit, dude, you need one. Yeah. They are so good. Lowrance have come on board last year and they're back again. And in the grand final, obviously we give the cash away, but they give away 2 HDS Pros for the winners. We randomly draw also 2, I think, Eagle 9s or Eagle 10s. Like they give away like 16 grand worth of sounders in the grand final.
That's mental. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. And it's like randomly drawn. Like we randomly draw 2 sounders, and then obviously the winners, they get their little kit with their HDS Pros. And then, look, all of our other sponsors, that without them, we don't have those amazing prize packs. So Jackal, the team at Jackal, Z-Man and TT, Tonic, Dougie with his Tonic Sunnies, how good are they? Yep. Strike Pro, On the Edge lures. We've got Pro Lure on board this year, which is fantastic. I think I was talking to someone the other day and they said, since you put up and Morgo put up that hybrid shrimp video, you can't buy a hybrid shrimp in Victoria.
That's right. That's right. I'm telling you.
How good are those things though? Like, they are an amazing lure, and I think there's only more big things to come from Pro Lure. But we've got Samaki is new as well this year, which is great. Kitech, so we've had Kitech for a number of years now.
They're fantastic, yeah.
Oh, look, if people love paddle tails and they don't have easy shiners, wow, they're so good. We've got Al from Munro's back again, and we always talk about, he's got a heap of stuff. For clear water, if you want to throw a swarf-coloured or paddle tail, I don't know what it is about that colour, but swarf is amazing. And then, like, the boys at Viva they do the Mega Bass round, but they've got Murasami. There's a new Murasami rod coming out, so Kane designed the Bream Ultralight, and then he designed the Bream sort of heavy, and he's brought a new model out that fits perfectly in the middle. So those Murasami rods are so good. And then, so you've got to check that out, and we'll be giving away some of those. But MPW as well, we've got Mafra Panel Works, as I said, giving away that junior jackpot. Cranker, Steersy, he's come back on board this year, which is awesome. I was talking to Steersy the other day, and I said, mate, everyone knows a cranker, but you've got so many other good lures. Like the cranker is one of my favourite jerkbaits, and cranker crabs, just how good are they? And then clones, we spoke about them. We want to try and get them up the top of the tree. We're going to keep working towards that. We'll get there one day, and we'll have that Oslones Megabucks final day. And so that's good. Oh, one of the cool things we're doing with the Hopkins round is the Tackle Shack has come on board. We're doing like our briefing at the Tackle Shack. They're going to do some specials and all that sort of thing at the Tackle Shack there. And so Corey and the guys down there, they're a bit of a mainstay tackle store now in Warrnambool. Everyone loves going to the Tackle Shack, and they're part of Richardson Marine. So they've got the marine dealership and then the tackle store, which is really cool. And Rapala on board again this year, which is cool. So Timmy and the gang down there, and they're doing really cool stuff. There's just so much to choose from. Remember, like 20 years ago, it was like a camo worm and an SX40. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
Now, man, there's like any number of lures that are going to absolutely do well for you. People are spoiled for choice now. There's so much cool stuff. We work with Victorian Fisheries a lot, so they're one of our sponsors as well. And probably one of my best mates and sponsors that has supported us since day one, and like 2005, is Peter Howe from Forays Displays and Signs. So he does all our trophies, all our banners, designs our T-shirts. He's an absolute star. And if you look at any of the videos, ladies and gents, of our trophies, they stand out. They're always unique. He tries to make them different, and they're really cool. So if you want a boat wrap, if you want any cool artwork done or any sort of banners for your business or even wraps for your car, he's the man, and he's a pretty handy cod fisherman too. He's down there. He's up there at Moala now, so he smashes it. Warrnambool round, we've got Sungold Milk on board as well. They're a bit of a mainstay in the Warrnambool area, Sungold. And then we've got another just little company called Daiwa. They're not too bad as well.
They go all right.
Just a small one. So, the guys at Daiwa are fantastic. And look, they're fantastic in the sense that they support us. They're big and they work with ABT, and they probably don't need to jump on board, but they support us and they're like, yep, for sure, we're on board. We absolutely love that they do that for us, and we try to give them some love, as much love as we possibly can. Fishing Mad. So if you don't know, Al Benici runs a YouTube channel called Fishing Mad. He's also on Channel 31. He supports us as well. He usually does giveaways for us, whether he'll give us a reel from one of his sponsors or he might do a voucher or something like that. And then obviously, not so much a sponsor, but probably one of our most important partnerships is Steve Morgan at ABT. Yeah. Because without ABT, we wouldn't be here, because we're working with ABT. So they allow us to do what we do. They cover our insurance. We're working together, and we work really well together. As I said, Morgan and I have been doing this for 20 years, and we've had some pretty flashy competitors have a crack at us over those years, and we've managed to hold them off. Yeah. There's been some big flashy where this is going to be the new man on the block, and it's going to bring down the ABT, and they looked great, and it was awesome for 12 months or 2 years. But again, it's just not sustainable. We're not America. We don't have the size. We don't have that sort of market where we can be giving away 30 grand cash prizes and $100,000 this and that, because We just don't have the population. But what we do have is a truckload of guys that are passionate about what they do and love going away for a weekend. And while we still got those guys, we're going to keep running tournaments.
That's right. That's right. You got to say, out of Australia, out of all these different ABT and Vic Bream and maybe even the Hobies, you've actually produced some pretty amazing anglers that have held their own overseas too. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. And it's one of those things that a lot of these guys, and that's a beautiful thing about, say, like Vic Bream or Hobie or whatever, we all have something different to offer. So mine's a teams event where you can come in with your mate. It's pretty chill. You can cut your teeth. And if you get good enough, you can go, I'm going to give ABT a go, and you can step up to that. Or if you're like, I don't have a boat, but I have a kayak, I'm going to go Hobie round. I'm going to, there is, and that's, and as again, we get along really well with Chris and all that, and we all try and work together to not clash rounds, all those sorts of things. Yeah, and that's what we need to. We want more. We want more people that want to fish, and there's so many young guys that are coming through that are really good. And we're trying to encourage a lot of it. There's a lot of young guys that are quite capable anglers, but they're either too scared to put their name on the line and not do well because they've got an Instagram following or this or that. But it's, mate, get out there, have a go, because you never really know how good you are until you fish against the best. Like I always say, it's easy to smash a 5 kilo bag midweek at your local when there's no one else fishing.
That's it.
You put 60 boats against you and they all want to fish that one great snag or one, then you'll find out what you're capable of. And you'll learn heaps more too, because you all of a sudden have to fish lures that you've never really fished or spots that you've never really fished. And that's what I've found over the years. If I had to say one thing over the years, the anglers that don't necessarily have a local on the actual circuit are usually the better anglers.
Oh, that's interesting.
They're not set in their ways.
Yeah.
They like go to a spot and they're like, we're going to just hit all these spots. We're going to come up with a game plan and we're going to go work that game plan. Whereas the locals, a lot of times, they're like, okay, I have to fish here, or I always fish here, or I always fish there. And sometimes that doesn't quite work. And I'm not saying all locals don't win, because there are absolute guns that do it.
Absolutely.
Like young Josh, like he's amazing. He's here, Mallacoota's his spot and all that sort of stuff. But I just averager anglers that are quite capable, but when it comes to a tournament, it sorts them in from the boys a little bit.
Absolutely.
As I said, then you've got the other ones, the anglers that come in or the teams that come in and they're like donuts. Then you'll see them actually form a friendship with another group or another team, and all of a sudden you see their results. Oh, 5, all right. And all of a sudden top 20, 15. Oh, now they're in the top 10, and now they're in the top 10 all the time.
That's it.
That's what it's all about. And as I say to most anglers and anyone listening out there, the biggest competition you've got in a tournament is yourself.
Yeah.
If you can set yourself a goal and say, oh, I just want to get 5, or I just want to get 10, or last tournament I only got 3, this tournament we're going to get 5.
Yeah.
The results come.
That's right.
If you worry about everyone else and you talk yourself up too much at the briefing, you put way too much pressure on yourself, you make it really hard for yourself, and you don't enjoy. I think if you put too much pressure on yourself, you actually don't enjoy the process or the experience. And I've found that some of those teams that they are good local anglers or good anglers, and then they do their first event, and as I said, they talk themselves up. They put too much pressure. They just put way too much pressure on themselves, and they usually will donut, or it's like when things aren't going right. It's just. Fishing's a very confidence-driven thing, and it's amazing how if you got confidence, you almost like will the fish onto the hook. It's a strange thing. Like people say, oh, it's just luck. Nah, look, there's a bit of luck, but when you say, for example, you're talking to Mackerel and Betsy every second tournament.
That's right.
It's more than luck.
That's exactly right. It's exactly what I say. It's if people weren't winning consistently or ranking consistently, you could say it was luck, but these guys are learning their craft and being up the pointy end more often.
And it's unbelievable because whether it's even Josh and Connor, like last year we're on a flyer, like 1-2 events, or Mackerel and Betsy or Paul Malov, or they are always there. And there are teams that have fished since we started, like 20 years. And I reckon maybe 1 or 2 events they've got top 10.
Yeah.
And like they have been fishing, like, you know what I mean? It makes it even more amazing how good these guys are. Like,
Yeah.
you just, yeah, it's incredible. And those sort of guys, I think, geez, it would be interesting to see how they would go if they had a Jacobson type process, because
Yeah.
they're good. They're so good. They just catch fish anywhere. Like, even when it's tough, you'll still get a 5 out of them. And well, sometimes they do have not a great event, but even if they have a poor event or a poor day on Saturday, they're coming home hard. Like, you just know it.
Yeah.
I always say, if Malov and Mackerel are in the top 10, it ain't over.
That's right. That's easy.
So that's what we try to create. When we do the live stream, we do the top 10, we do the weigh, we try and make it exciting. It's a hard sport. It's a hard spectator sport, tournament fishing. You got to try and make it exciting somehow. And I think what Morgo does with his live feeds and all that sort of stuff, that's really cool and really unique, how he does all that sort of stuff. And I've said to Morgan, that's your thing, dude. You are so good at that. I try my thing, which is to create a really good weigh-in, create a good live weigh-in, and really try and get the anglers pumped up and have people actually want to watch it because it's a bit exciting. And if I can take the piss out of them, I do.
Fair enough.
You gotta. You just have to. Like, I have people, there's a few guys that ring me and they say, the thing we love the most is when you absolutely give blokes hell when they come in with 2 fish for 1.1 and they won't tell you where they caught them.
Yep.
And like, they're all cagey, and I'm like, you can't cagey about that bag. Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're gonna be cagey with that, I'm gonna give it to you.
Yep. I hear you.
It's funny. It's great. But look, it is good fun. And as I said, mate, we're going to have to get you down one of these briefings to do a live Bream Project podcast.
Sounds like a plan.
Maybe a grand final red carpet edition where you can pull some of the anglers off the red carpet to have a chat.
And to have yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Very good. All right. I think that rounds out the year for 2026.
Mate, that is it. And then it's Christmas, and then it's let's go again.
That's it. Get set, release another calendar and do it again.
It'll be here before we know it. So, yeah. But, and then, as I said, the Hobie's doing a overseas thing this year. They're doing what?
I've not heard. Yeah. With the change of ownership and stuff, there's just nothing filtering down with that sort of thing in mind.
Because that was so good. That was such a unique, you couldn't get that experience anywhere else.
No.
Like, it was such a cool thing, and it will be a shame if it doesn't continue. But, yeah, it'd be good if we need to get fishing in the Olympics.
Oh, how good would that be?
Could you imagine, kayak fishing in the Olympics? Like, I could see, obviously, the animal side of things would probably make it never get over the line.
Yes.
But, the kayak thing, that'd tick a box.
Yeah.
Because there's your athletic sort of side of it.
That's right. I'd love to call myself an Olympic athlete.
How good would it be? Like, I don't think you'd ever get your Bassmaster style one because it's not really, there's no athletic, but there's no real athletic side of it. But I think from a kayak point of view, I reckon it's got merit.
Potentially.
Yeah, obviously, I think the animal rights part of it might knock it back.
I was going to say, I don't think we're seeing fishing in the Olympics in a hurry. But anyway.
All good, mate.
All right, mate. Well, that's been a fantastic chat. Look, you put together a great calendar and your list of sponsors is unbelievable. So shout out to all those guys who put their hands in their pockets in one way or another.
They are amazing. And look, one that probably I haven't given enough love to is Gippsland Shire. So Gippsland Shire, they're not a tackle brand or this and that, but they make it possible for us to go where we go. So they open the doors for us. They give us funding. They help us. We can't pay the bills with lures. At the other end, we've got Glenelg Shire Council as well. Without those guys, it makes it really tough, and they absolutely love events. They're really good. So anglers out there, you can thank those sort of 2 shires for giving you guys the opportunities to fish events.
Exactly. And I assume it's a two-way street. When you guys rock into town, you bring 100 people who typically eat out and buy accommodation and all that sort of stuff and support wherever you're going.
Yeah. So. Yeah, like with a pretty big field, you could easily inject $100,000 into the local economy. And as a lot of the accommodation venues say, it's not that weekend as well. It's the pre-fish weekends that
Yep.
the boys come. We've been taking stats, and over the last 20 years, we reckon we've probably almost injected nearly $11 million into the local economy. And that's really cool. That's what you want, because it showcases just how good Victoria is. We're really lucky.
Yeah. Very cool.
Cool,
All right.
man.
All right, Bill, mate, thank you for taking the time to come and have a chat. And mate, I look forward to reviewing your competitions throughout the year. Love talking to your guys.
No worries, mate. I appreciate it. We'll have to try and get you on a boat one day.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, mate.
We'll teach you how to fish standing up.
Might struggle.
All right, buddy.
All right. Thanks, mate. Bye.
Thanks, man. See ya.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you were informed, inspired and entertained. If you were able to learn something or just enjoyed listening, please consider subscribing and rate us on your favourite podcasting platform.